Dan Illman, Mike Beer taking a look back at the 2021 Breeders Cup Juvenile at Del Mar, going a mile and a 16th. Now, this race took a little bit of a hit from a class and pace perspective when Champagne winner Jack Christopher was withdrawn the eve of the race. But as we break from the gate, we watch the far outside horse Corniche take them wire to wire, a deserving winner, a deserving two-year-old champion.
Yeah, I mean, his job got a lot easier, Dan, when Jack Christopher, who was going to be favored, couldn't make the race. This just, once again, we saw this several times over the 2 days of the Breeders' Cup. Having that speed and actually using it, it's a really big advantage. This horse had a tough post. Mike Smith didn't care. He cleared from the outside. He wired this field.
Papa Cap, the number 4, you saw down inside, placed a little bit tight going into the first turn when Corniche came up in front of him. This trip a lot different than his trip when he chased Corniche in his most recent start, the American Pharoah, where he was wide throughout. He was able to save ground in here.
He got a really good trip in this race. He broke very well from the gate. Was cleared by Corniche into that first turn and just, I think, did the right thing. Sat right behind this horse all the way around the track. Maybe it takes him a little while to get fully clear, Dan, but he was never catching Corniche in the stretch of this race. Still ran well to be second.
The second choice in the wagering was the maiden, the runner-up in the Champagne, the gray horse, the number 10 Command Performance. Were you surprised how close he was to the pace? It really looked like they made a concerted effort to get up close, a 3-wide trip, and he stays on evenly for fourth.
Yeah, at this point, he's between horses and getting, past on either side here to fall back a little bit. He's going to eventually reemerge to get fourth in here. I was a little surprised they went forward. I can sort of understand why they did. Once Jack Christopher didn't make the race, I'm sure that they were worried that Corniche was going to, make the lead and maybe back things down here. As it turns out, they didn't really back it down. They went a solid pace. All Command Performance could do was chase, and he did so in a very wide trip around the track. He just got a little tired there. I would say that trip probably didn't work out great for him.
Corniche still going strong under the wire, earned a 91 Beyer speed figure. This race did go slower than the juvenile fillies on the same day. A son of Quality Road. Corniche is now unbeaten. He's banked $1.2 million. He's closing in on his purchase price. A $385,000 buyback as a yearling. He sold for $1.5 million earlier this year, and he's got to be the undisputed two-year-old champion, Mike.
Yeah, he'll be the champion when the Eclipse Awards are all said and done. We'll point out that it was, a little slower than the juvenile fillies a couple races earlier, but this horse went a full second faster to the half mile than Echo Zulu did in wiring that race. Corniche ran very well here.
Let's talk a little bit about the Kentucky Derby, because Corniche is now the Winterbrook favorite, as evidenced by his win in the juvenile and becoming two-year-old champion. He's by Quality Road. His dam was a really nice turf horse, a lot of class, a lot of turf in this pedigree. What about distance?
I mean, I wouldn't really worry about distance with him, because I think he is bred to handle distance. You're right that it's a lot of turf and distance on the bottom, but there's some quality there. His dam Wasted Tears was a really nice horse. He's already shown that he can handle dirt, so you don't have to worry about surface anymore. I think he's going to be fine going longer. I guess we'll see what the connections decide to do now as far as Derby goes, assuming he makes it there. There are different rules for Baffert.
Let's take a look at the order of finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. You'll note the dead heat for fifth, Oviatt Class and Pinehurst. Let's start a little bit with Pinehurst, one of the 3 Baffert train runners, along with Corniche and Barossa. He had not run since the Del Mar summer meet. He was stretching out for the first time, and he was put on a hard chase going after Corniche. You can give him excuses for this race. Do you get the feeling he might be more effective at shorter distances down the road?
Yeah, the question for him going into this race, it was certainly a little bit of class, but it was also distance. He has a lot of class in his pedigree on the dam side, but it's also very sprinty down there, Dan. And this horse chased Corniche for a long way. I thought he was very game into the upper stretch, even though he couldn't ever really catch that horse. He got very tired at the end of this race, though. I think it opens him up to questions about how far he wants to go.
Your thoughts on Oviatt Class, who is just becoming a one-run late closing type? I didn't think he got the cleanest trip in this race, rallying from the back of the pack, but since he has no early speed, he's just the kind of horse that's going to need a lot of racing luck.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to need to catch some breaks. Overall, I thought his trip was pretty clean. He came a little bit wide to the stretch. he picked up some pieces to get a share of fifth here without ever looking like he was going to really factor. And it's not like the pace was super slow, Dan. I mean, he had a fair enough setup here. He just wasn't really a factor.
How about the upside perhaps down the road for the third place finisher? Giant Game for Dale Romans, who loomed a factor turning into the stretch, and he just flattened out. The final eighth of a mile or so, it was a really improved performance for Giant Game, a lightly raced horse. This horse has upside and a nice pedigree.
Yeah, I thought he ran really well in this race. Sat up close, came with the first wide run around the second turn, and actually really got a look at Corniche there at the top of the stretch. He was no match when all was said and done. But this horse ran very well, I thought, to be third. It was another step forward for a horse who had really improved from start one to start two. This horse ran an underrated race here.
Papa Cap, always been a solid horse. Again, wide in the American Pharaoh, a graded stakes winner sprinting earlier this year. You see the measuring stick for this race, however. I always feel that Papa Cap is a very solid horse. I don't know if there is a ton of upside here. He's okay. Is that sort of a knock against the horses that finish behind him, or do you think Papa Cap has more potential than I do?
No, I sort of agree with your take on him. I think he's okay. Already a graded stakes winner. Did run fine in this race with a really good trip. I mean, Joe Bravo put him in the right spot, and this horse did his very best with it to be second. Did he run the second best race in here? I don't think that he did. He just happened to finish second. I would take the third and the fourth finishers over him.
Well, let's take a look at the prices for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Baffert, Smith, the Chalk, Corniche, $4.80 to win. Papa Cap, nice effort from Mark Casse for second. Giant Game, keep an eye on him down the road as they stretch out in distances. He finished third, but Corniche wins it, an undefeated two-year-old Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner, and a likely undefeated two-year-old champion.